Hi class, so today we finished Beowulf, and now this lecture is just going to be a quick review of Beowulf and his transition from hero to king. And then you'll have a little homework assignment at the end. As for the review, keep in mind the main events that occurred, which were Beowulf first leaving to go help Hrothgar with the problem he was having with Grendel, and then Beowulf's battle with Grendel, and the battle with Grendel's mother, which were him fighting as a warrior member of the pagan culture, in which he was fighting for the glory and treasure and the honor. And then after that, Beowulf has gained worldwide fame. He's got the treasure that he wanted, that he came for. Hrothgar's people are safe. He now returns to his homeland, and he eventually becomes king after his king dying and him being chosen to step up. Now, as Beowulf becomes king, we know that he has become more wise. He loses his thirst for blood. He just wants to rule his people and be a good king. And then with his last battle, his final battle with the dragon, that comes about because the dragon is terrorizing his people. It is the first thing that has happened to them in a long time, and he needs to step up to defeat him because no one else can. Now, while battling with the dragon, Beowulf is poisoned, and that is how he dies. And that is the end of the poem. And on to Beowulf's transition from hero at the beginning of the poem to king, and up until the final lines of the poem, we see that there are two types of transitions that he's going through. There's the social transition and the personal transition, with his more along the lines of his personality. And the social transition being his social status and his position in the world. So Beowulf first starts out as the warrior who completes the good deeds, such as traveling to Denmark to help King Hrothgar and his people from Grendel terrorizing them. And he's rewarded with the treasure and glory, and that's what he set out to do. That was part of his expectations for going to help Hrothgar. And he transitions from the warrior who is battling to save people, mostly for the glory and the treasure that comes from it, to being one of the greatest kings. He becomes more wise as time goes on, and while he is king, his people don't take part in any wars. There's no fighting. There's no deadly monsters coming to terrorize them. His people are safe. And as for his personal transition, you can see in his behavior and mindset at the beginning of the poem is more of the hero, where he is brave and courageous, but he is also a little full of himself and outgoing to the point where he could be killed at any second by Grendel or Grendel's mother. And towards the end, as the king, he becomes more wise. He's not having his people take part in the battles and the fighting that he once looked forward to as the hero. As the king, he goes out and has his last final battle with the dragon, not because he's looking for the glory and rewards that he found with Grendel and Grendel's mother, but because he's trying to save his people. He's trying to be a good king. He's the person who has to go out and fight him, and he knows this. And even as he has, as we discussed before, the premonition of his death when battling the dragon, he still goes out and is basically sacrificing himself to save his people. So you can see by the end of the poem and the story that Beowulf really has gone through a transition from the original warrior mindset of killing and fighting and receiving treasure and glory to the wise, selfless king at the end. And you have some homework. It's not going to be too difficult. We've done the 4 windows in class before with paper, and this time I want you to use Excel. And I will show you how to do that. And remember that we have the different sections. We have nature, love, language, and meaning of life. And I want you to use textual examples to support each of the ones that you choose. So now I'm going to go to Excel. Now in our class we have used Excel before, so in case some of you guys have forgotten or you are still a little bit unfamiliar with the way that Excel works, you can rearrange the size of your rows or your columns by going down until you see this symbol, and then you can click and drag it however much larger you want it to be, and you can put it back where you want, and there's even the numbers to show you what size it's at. And you can do the exact same thing for this side right there. And for the borders, there is this tab up here where if you click the down arrow, it will show you the different borders, and before you select a border you need to select a box. So for example, I'm going to click this box and I will click top border. Now when you move off of that, you can see that there is now a top border right there. Now let's just get rid of that. And as for arranging where you want the words and phrases in the boxes to go, you can use these lines right here for left, there we go, align text to the left, to the center, or to the right. And these ones up here are for the top, middle, and bottom. So for example, I have nature on both the center and the middle. But if I wanted to move it to the top, I could click it and move it up there. If I want it at the top left, such as that, or at the bottom, or right. And I'm going to move it back to the middle. And if you have any questions, you can always email me, you know that, or post on the discussion board and on our classroom website. So for example, we're going to start with this column as being the area for what you would typically write underneath each of the topics on the outside of the 4 windows. So if we choose a topic for nature, for example, we could do in versus out, because we know that the inside the castles or the homes is supposed to be safer than the out, which is the wilderness and nature. As for love, we could do kinship for families. And language, as we talked about before, we could do kennings or alliteration or any other language topics that we've talked about or that you found yourself. Now remember, these don't have to be any topics that we've discussed in class necessarily. It could be anything that you found on your own as well. And for meaning of life, we know that in the pagan culture, identity is a big deal. And now I'm going to align those as my other boxes are. And you know that for on the inside of our 4 windows, we are supposed to include textual examples of the different topics. So for in versus out, we can put as an example that Beowulf ventures into the out in order to get rid of Grendel's mother, which is a danger to the town. Alright, and as you can see, the text is going out of the box, and in order to fix that, all you have to do is select the box, and then go up to this tab, Wrap Text, and click on it, and it will wrap the text in the box. And I know you can do this on your own. We've done it before in class several times. So create a box similar to this and go down through the rest of these boxes as well as in versus out. Try not to use the same example that I've used here, and use your own textual examples to support the topics that you choose for nature, love, language, and meaning of life.